So I remember being in Spain in a whole different country and receiving a text message on WhatsApp, her texting me, hey, want to cancel this contract? I'm going to sell with the agent. He said he could get me more money. And I'm over here in another country. I'm like, what do you mean you want to cancel your contract? And I was already going through a roller coaster of emotions. Hey, what's up, deal makers? We just finished another Ask Alex webinar, number 87, and we did a deal review. If you want to learn how our team did a deal through WhatsApp, you have to watch the rest of the video. What's up? Good afternoon, deal makers. I'm going to get this webinar started today. As you can tell, I am not Alex, I am not Will, but we're still going to be doing this webinar today. So yeah, good afternoon, guys. Hope your guys' day have been going fantastic today. Today, we'll be reviewing some deals. Alex and Will, unfortunately, they couldn't make it to today's webinar. Not many of us know, but they're actually on the Real Estate Disruptors podcast today with our good partner, our good fellow network, Steve Trang. He focuses a lot on sales training out there in Arizona. He's a big influence on my sales training. And a lot of people in the real estate community, investing community know him as well. And they rely on him a lot as his methodologies and his teachings are really great. So they're actually out there in Phoenix, Arizona today. They're checking out our 18-unit building that's going on out there. They're on that podcast right there, networking with other individuals as well. And they asked me today to host this webinar and talk to you guys about deals and provide some value to you guys today. So that's what I hope to achieve today and teach you guys a couple of things. For those who don't know me, my name is Eliam Fuentes. I'm a 21-year-old real estate investor here in Southern California. And about a year and a half ago, I had a curiosity to learn about real estate investing, and I ended up deciding to learn about it, right? So a year and a half ago, decided to become more curious about real estate. I was in school full time at the moment, but I wanted to get into real estate, didn't know what avenue to take, and I ended up landing on the investor side and ended up being involved in fix and flips here in Southern California. My skill set has always been sales and marketing. That's what my personality has been throughout growing up. And I said, what perfect way to do it and to dive into acquisitions. So I usually focus on acquisitions here with our company and our team. We have a couple other guys that focus on raising capital, managing our projects and rehabbing these deals. And also we're our rockstar agents that are reselling it. But I like being on the front end, right? Being on the front end, finding the deals, negotiating discounts, talking to agents, talking to wholesalers, and talking to people who have deals because I want to get a deal. I want to see how we can work together and collaborate. When I started with real estate and how I met Alex and Will, well, I actually drove 2.5 hours to go attend my very first ever real estate meetup. And when I attended that real estate meetup, I ended up meeting my future mentors who are Alex and Will. They ended up taking me alongside their wing, and they ended up mentoring me and teaching me how to find deals, how to take down deals, and how to partner up and become, a real estate investor. So I've been really grateful. The journey has been really blissful throughout the way. And it took me about 8 months to get my first deal. But after, you get that first deal, it's more like a snowball effect. Grateful to see 15 deals come into fruition, 5 deals being my own. And I'm excited for what the journey still has to continue. So that's kind of a brief introduction and a brief story of who I am and how I can help you guys out and then connect with you guys as well. Quick little updates that we have going on right now with the company. Not sure how many of you guys attended our downtown LA real estate investor meetup that we hosted last week. Last week, we hosted one of the biggest real estate investor meetups in downtown LA. We had over 250 people plus in attendance at one point at that meetup. And it was a record-breaking number for us. It was a great effort from our team. I got to connect with a lot of people there, talk to wholesalers, agents, lenders, professionals, investors. A lot of people were under that room, and it was definitely a room that you wanted to be under. So we dropped a quick poll right here. I just wanted to know how many of you guys were able to attend our real estate investor meetup last Thursday. Awesome, gotcha. So we had about 70% of you guys were able to attend that downtown LA real estate investor meetup, which was a great success. I met a lot of you guys there, talked to you guys about your guys' journey and see what you guys have been up to. Just out of curiosity, feel free to comment down below in the comment section right now and comment what your biggest takeaway was from that event. I will share, my biggest takeaways, like many of you guys also had takeaways as well. So kind of what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going over a couple of deals that we have acquired as a company and some deals that we're working on right now, and kind of just talk about what we're seeing in the market and stuff while we wait for this chat to be updated. Another couple updates that we've been going on is that we finally sold one of our Joshua Tree properties. We've been having a bottleneck out there in Joshua Tree. We finally been able to get a couple of deals offloaded out there in Joshua Tree as we're exiting a couple of those projects as well, and expecting, a payday for our company to keep on providing opportunities for the future as well as we're still buying. Alex also moved officially back to LA. So Alex is back in LA, and we're now continuing to, grow and scale this company and seeing what we can do to provide value for the community. Gotcha. Now I just got in, that chat should be working. So yeah, comment down your biggest takeaway from that downtown LA real estate investor meetup that you guys had. Comment where you're coming from, what city you're in, what are you doing for investing, what markets you're in. Love to know and connect with you guys. Gotcha. Zayed said, okay, last meetup was great. You met a lot of cool people. What type of people did you end up meeting there, Zayed? What was your biggest takeaway there? Awesome. Gotcha. So let's get started. As you guys are, Ali's wholesaling all the way in New York. Oh, she's from New York City. She's wholesaling in Florida. Omar met some wholesalers with some dollar signs. Yeah, Omar is one of our acquisitions guys. We love working with wholesalers. Make sure you guys get paid. See how we can do deals together. Gotcha. So let's go over some deals. We got a couple of deals right here that are working in the pipeline. I'm going to kind of show you how we do acquisitions. Awesome. So I got my screen shared right here. So this is a deal. This was one of the first deals I was able to do that was from out of state. This is an out of state deal that we had in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's a crazy story how this deal kind of came about throughout the time period of taking this deal to the finish line as I did in acquisitions. So this deal is in Las Vegas, Nevada. Here's our CRM, how we kind of make sure we keep track of our leads and keep track of our inventory and see what we're progressing with the project. So this deal right here is located in Nevada. Kind of just show you kind of quick Google Maps and kind of the backstory of this deal. So this deal actually came from a referral, someone from our network that was telling us that, hey, Alex, I have a friend's mom who wants to sell their home, but she's having trouble selling her home on market because she's not currently living in the country. So this seller was actually from another country. She's living in Mexico. She's managing this out-of-state rental, but it's becoming too much bear for her to handle. And she wanted help. She was looking for a cash offer. She was looking for a close, and we wanted to see how we could help her. We primarily do deals here in California. We have never done a deal in Nevada before, but we said, hey, there's a seller in need of help. Let's see if we can help them. Let's see if we maybe wholesale this deal, or maybe we end up flipping it. So here in the city of Las Vegas, Nevada, what I kind of like to do is I kind of like to search on Google Maps first and see what area and kind of get a feel for the neighborhood on where we are located for this deal. So kind of quick Google Maps. That way I don't have to take a flight. I don't have to drive all the way to Arizona just to see the deal. By doing this, quick little tool right here on Google Maps, I can get a feel for the area. I can get to see what's the surrounding, as much information as I can possible. That way I can see if this lead or if this deal is worth pursuing my time in the future. So here we are in Avondale Avenue, Las Vegas. You just drag the little guy right there. And you kind of see right here what I mean by getting a feel for the area. So this is the subject property right here that we have where we're currently flipping. And what I do is I kind of just scroll through the neighborhood and see what's been going on. If there's any flips in the area, if this is a bad neighborhood, or if there's any type of distressed properties nearby. And there's something called driving for dollars. I know a couple people that also do driving for dollars on Google Maps, where they'll literally go spend some time on the computer, go through neighborhoods on Google Maps, and lead generate through that way as well, which is also a great method to find leads as well. Because sometimes this is really accurate. Look right here, you can see in the timestamp, it says March 2019. Sometimes it says June 2022. And it tells you when these pictures were last updated. So you have an idea of like, hey, this property is in this condition since June 2022, which is really helpful. So kind of back to the seller. So the crazy part is that this seller only spoke Spanish. Thankfully, my mother taught me how to speak Spanish, and I was pretty fluent in Spanish growing up. So the entire conversation, the entire negotiation, the entire process was in Spanish. And the crazy part is that this seller didn't even have email. She only had WhatsApp. Not sure how many of us have heard of WhatsApp or use WhatsApp in our business or have family that uses WhatsApp. But when I mean the entire process was documented on WhatsApp, that means our phone calls, our text messages, our DocuSigns, our contracts, everything, pictures, everything was through WhatsApp. And we had to make the best use of our resources. So that was a pretty cool experience to kind of go through and handle this transaction through WhatsApp. There's 4 pillars that we really connect with when we're looking at deals. And it is the 4 pillars, which are motivation, condition, price, and timeline. Those are 4 pieces of information that I'm looking to collect from the seller when I am doing a deal or I'm seeing if I am gonna take this deal down. Motivation behind this seller right here was that the husband passed away. She was having a hard time managing the rental out of state. And unfortunately, without the proper documentation going on, this deal ended up turning into a probate situation. Probate situations are not the greatest situations to be in because they take so long, they're time consuming, sometimes money consuming, and there's just a bunch of little nuances going on. Just by a show of hands or how many people in the attendees have gone through a probate situation or know what probate really is. Gotcha. So after we collect the motivation and kind of seeing, okay, so this seller really needs help. She's in pain. She has a really problem to solve. She has this property that she does not want to manage anymore. She just wants to exit, retire in Mexico because she's been living in Mexico for the past 5 years. And she wants a good payday to support her lifestyle in Mexico. And I said, we got you. We'll see what we can do with the cash offer and see how we can help you out. Then I proceeded to kind of collecting the condition of the property. And never once did I ever see this property. Everything was managed virtually. Everything was done online and over the phone. We each had a great network out there in Las Vegas that was able to go see this property for us, take some pictures, give us our thoughts. And it's huge shout out to, the Future Flipper program with Ryan Pineda. We have a lot of students out there that are willing to help us and, kind of connect with us and help us see if we could carry this deal to the finish line. So we had him walk through the property and kind of give us the scope of an idea. And these are kind of the pictures he came back to us with, right? So this is a regular 4 bedroom, 2 bath, about 1,200 square feet of property, no additional units onto the building. Got the bar fence right there, outdated, style of paint outside that we see here. Obviously not in the modern condition, but it could look beautiful with some new paint or some new style going on. So we had someone take pictures for us and they kind of walked us to see what we saw on the property. And we were caught by surprise because we were expecting this property to be in the worst shape. But after seeing the pictures, we quickly realized that it was actually cosmetic. So there's 3 different types of rehabs we do. There's a cosmetic rehab, there's a regular rehab, and a heavy rehab. Cosmetic rehab, as we very well know, it's basically like slapping lipstick on a pig, which is just paint the interior, exterior, remove some carpet, add new carpet, some new flooring, remodel the kitchen and some bathrooms, and you're good to go. So we found out that the operations of this house were pretty much intact. There was no problem going on with the HVAC. There's no problem going on with the electrical. The property was taken very good care of throughout the time of her ownership. So we were really excited. We're like, okay, this is a basic deal. It's not going to take too much bandwidth. It's not going to take too much effort to make this deal rehabable. This is up our alley. This is up our alley. So we like that. We like these cosmetic deals because they're base hits. You can get in and out of them in 90 days. Now that was, a challenge that we had on the acquisition side, saying like, okay, how are we going to acquire this property? We're over the phone. How do we put this thing together? So we relied heavily on our network to provide us, escrow companies out there, to provide us home inspectors, to provide us people to go walk the property for us. That way we don't have to fly all the way out to Vegas and go or drive all the way out to Vegas to go see this property. If it could be done on the computer and the phone, then so be it, right? That's the beauty and the power of technology now, where you can do business over the phone and the internet and buy properties without actually physically having to see it. So yeah, so outdated bathroom right there that you could obviously see, outdated bathroom, made popcorns around there. There's nothing scary like, right, that we see going on in this property. Some sheds in the back in Vegas that we've learned that sheds out there in Vegas are really valuable because people could store their, materials in there, or they store their, any devices or anything they have back there. So that was add value right there. And once we kind of collect the condition, now I could kind of talk a little bit price with the seller. All right. So price is another key pillar that we wanted to collect. And unfortunately, when we locked up this deal, that was still brand new earlier this year. It was in January where we locked up this deal, and I was still kind of new to acquisition, still learning the ropes. And there was 2 price increases on me. The first price increase, we had the deal locked up at 200. But once we got the bank settlement balance, her mortgage balance, how much she was left over, ended up being the incorrect number. So the seller ended up telling me that she owed about $120,000. And when we got back to settlement, it says you actually owe $160,000. So when I created the offer to her, I created the offer to her under the impression that she only owed $120,000 left on her mortgage, and she was going to net $100,000 after, with the cash offer we presented to her. After all the things she had to pay for, she was going to net about $100,000 because that's what the math came out to. But once we got the correct mortgage balance, turns out she had a second loan, a silent loan on the property. They ended up making a total of $160,000. So it drastically dropped how much she was going to net. That was a tough conversation to have because I told her you're going to net $100,000. But after we received new information, now I got to tell her, hey, you're actually going to net only $60,000. And from the very beginning, the seller told me she wanted to net $100,000. And now that we see what the information was going on, it was kind of a tough conversation to have and to let her know, like, hey, we're not going to be able to give you that. And it's out of our control. So we knew we were locking it up at a sweet deal. So I said the best thing we could do is give you a price increase to give you at least $80,000 net. So she was okay with that. She was like, you know what? She took the bullet, she took the bite, and she ended up proceeding. She was like, okay, cool, let's do the deal, because she's still in pain, right? When a seller has a lot of pain and a lot of motivation to sell, they will still sell the property, right? Because that's what they have their mind decided on it. They just need to figure out who are they going to sell to. May not be us, maybe someone else, but luckily it was us in this scenario. So we ended up price increasing all the way up to $220,000, from $200,000 to $220,000, which obviously it takes away from the profit from us, but we still believe that the deal was sweet enough to continue further, and we didn't want to lose the deal. And timeline being the last thing we looked at, was this ended up being a 5-month process because it ended up being probate. So we got the deal in January, but we weren't able to close until May because we had to go through legal issues and all these processes to close this deal. Once I collect all these pieces of information, I could now have a thorough analysis and see how I can go about comping, finding comps, putting into the deal calculator, and seeing what we have going on here. So it's a 4-bed, 2-bath, 1,300 square feet. And I go to Zillow to kind of see what the characteristics of the home are, to get some basic information. Built in 1962, looked at, what's, forced air and all these little nuances that help me decide how to analyze the deal and have these when I'm looking for comps. Because when you're looking for comps, you want to make sure that you find comps that are like your subject property that you have. And we had to do comps on Redfin because we don't have MLS access out there in Las Vegas, Nevada. Our business is not in Nevada. Our business was not licensed in Nevada. So we had to rely on other sources like Zillow and Redfin to find comparables. So that's another way. We don't normally analyze our deals on the CRMLS. We have MLS access here in California, but these out-of-state deals, we had to rely on our network. We had to reach out to agents who do deals in that area to kind of let us know, hey, what do you think the ARV is going to be on this property? And we had to rely on Redfin to figure out what these type of properties could sell for afterwards. So I do a quick and easy Redfin search, type in the property, kind of see where it's already located on Google Maps. I look for homes nearby that area, so nearby homes for sale. And now it kind of gives me a zone of where my property is. And I know my property is somewhere around here in this neighborhood. So I take the little draw perimeter. And a good thing about a thing you want to know when you're running comps is you do not want to cross major highways or major freeways because neighborhoods change. As you can see out here in California, if you cross one freeway to the other freeway, you could see that neighborhoods drastically change. So one neighborhood could be superior than the other one, or you could be in different county lines. So when we're doing comps, what we did was we drew an area right here. 1 second. This is kind of what I drew to find my comps and then set my filters. So right here, we stayed inside this little pocket, this little triangle right here. We did not want to cross these major freeways because when I did visit the property, the neighborhoods were drastically different. So that's kind of the area that we were looking for comps in and exit comps to see match our prices. So then you change the filters to sold. And when we were running comps back early in January, we were running them based off the 6 months. And as we know, in January, the market was still on a tear, right? It was still appreciating it. We were still seeing high prices, properties going over asking. Now we're not seeing it as so much as we are going through market shifts and we're going through different changes in price drops and, getting a correction here and there. So right now we could run the comps based off what we're seeing now. So we'll do last 6 months. We're looking for home type. We're only looking for houses because we have an SFR on hand. And we're also looking for filters right here. So what are the filters we're going to add? We're going to add the square footage filter. So it's 1,288 square feet, 1,300. What I like to do for filter is kind of get a range between that 1,300 and have 1,300 be in the middle. We have 1,100. I'm looking for properties anywhere from 1,100 to 1,600. Is that what I'm looking for right here? 1,100 to 1,600. Now, when I set this filter, it's going to filter down how many properties are in that area for what I'm looking for. Another one we'll take out is no pools. So it's really popular in these desert cities and these desert towns that a lot of the homes have pools in their backyard. Our property does not have a pool. So we're just going to get rid of those pools that we don't pop up. So this is a process of refining and getting more fine, definite comps to kind of see what area you're in. So we always weigh more weight to the comps that are closer to us in our neighborhood. Our property is closer to here. And we're kind of browsing and seeing what these properties are closing for. So we'll take a quick browse and kind of just see like, okay, so we have that one for 335, 390. We have this one's not even updated really for 320. It's nice inside, but it's not in its modern condition, and it's sold for 320. The reason why this one sticks out was because, well, hey, if this property is not updated, it does not look in its modern condition, and it's sold for 320, if we put a product out there that is fully modernized, fully renovated, in its modern condition, we're almost guaranteed to get 320. Because this property that is outdated and not in its modern condition got 320. And we see a couple other ones that we see in design, right? There's also 320 right here, has a little bit more bass. Looks like it was painted on the exterior, but not really much done in the inside. It had a nice cleaner going in. So the comps that we were finding in this area, we weren't finding many fully flipped comps because sometimes you'll go on the MLS, you'll go on this on searching for comps, and sometimes you'll run into properties that look good on the outside, but they look outdated on the inside. Or vice versa. They'll look bad on the outside. They don't have a paint job on the outside, but they look fully remodeled in the inside. So that would be, what we call like a half flip or someone who just rehabbed the property themselves and did not finish the project. So that's what we were seeing when we were looking for comps in this area, is that we didn't have a definitive exit flip comp, but we did have properties that were half flip selling for a floor of 320, 310, above 290 that we were seeing. So we projected we could actually get more than that. We're going to make sure our property has all the exterior love it needs, and it has all the interior love it needs and deserves as a full flip. So we're projecting that our ARV is going to be 330 to 340 around there. I'm not sure how many of you guys have used our flip deal calculator, but after I collect comps and after I get the ARV and have all the information that I need as an acquisitions person, I can then go over to my deal calculator and plug in the numbers. And if you guys have any questions along the way or anything, comments or concerns that you guys want me to elaborate or expand on, like type it out there in the chat and I'll definitely answer your question. So this is a flip deal calculator that we use. Flip deal calculator, we have used it many times. You know, it calculates our lender costs, our purchase costs, resale costs, and has everything that we need in our calculator there. So we kind of reverse engineer it. I'm saying, okay, we need about 240. We could sell this thing for 330. And the rehab that we were seeing, we were getting feedback from other flippers in the area. Person who actually walked the property for us was a flipper himself. And he said, hey, this property is going to need about 35 to 40K in work. And we're like, great, thank you for that number, because I needed to know what my rehab number is. And that's the beauty of relying on your network and other experienced investors, because they know their market the best. So why should I not take their advice? So what we did is we took their advice, 35K rehab, that's what you think it needs. Great, so that's what it's gonna need. And then we relied on our agents as well to confirm that, hey, are we gonna be able to sell this property for 330? They said, yeah, great, cool, we can sell it for 330. Why wouldn't I believe you? You know the market best, right? My market is California, it's not Vegas, so we have to rely on the people that are more knowledgeable in that area. So initially, we had the contract locked up at 200,000, and that would have been a great deal right off the bat. If we would have proceeded with 200,000 getting this deal, we would have made $60,000 in profit, a 42% return on our money. And the days held is actually a lot. So it's 150. We're projecting, we're still actively flipping this project right now. It's supposed to be 150 from the close of escrow and turning this property and putting it back on the market. So that would have been a nice, real good payday, right? 62,000 probably would have been my biggest deal to this date. And I was happy. But our ROI is ROI is 30%, and our minimum profit size is $30,000, right? Since we're doing this one virtually out of state flipping, we're looking for more of a padding. We wanted a bigger profit size to meet our criteria to make sure this deal is worth it. But after the price increase that this lady gave me, she was like 220,000, ended up obviously drastically changing our profit size a little bit more. And then one thing I want to emphasize a lot is that time is the killer of all deals. The more time there is process in selling a home or buying a home, the more chances of obstacles or challenges will occur and will appear. And that's one thing we had going on, because this seller was thinking that she could get more for her property. She started listening to other people. She started talking to other agents or her friends, and her friends or agents were telling her like, hey, we could get this property sold for more money than what they're giving you. They're only giving you 220,000. An agent told her I could sell this property to you for 290,000. So she started getting influenced by other people on what to do with her property. She was already set in stone. She was already in contract with us, but she was being influenced by all these other people that wanted to help her sell a property and get more money out of it. So I remember being in Spain, in a whole different country, and receiving a text message on WhatsApp, her texting me, hey, want to cancel this contract? I'm going to sell with the agent. He said he could get me more money. And I'm over here in another country. I'm like, what do you mean you want to cancel a contract? And I was already going through a roller coaster of emotions. This is my second deal probably. And I'm like, you can't be backing out on me. So we had to jump on that real quick and see how I could help her out and perform, right? And see how I could tell her. So I had to tell her like, hey, you could sell with the agent, but you have to wait until our contract expires. You have to pay them a commission. You have to now pay your escrow fees, because we were going to cover all that. And I started basically scorching the earth on why going with the agent was going to be the worst decision she's made, because it's my deal. You got to be, I didn't want to lose the deal. So that's what we kind of did, and scorched the earth with the other agents. We ended up agreeing with another price increase, because if not, she was right. The market did appreciate in the time that we waited for that deal, and we were not expecting this recession that's going on now, the downturn of the market now. So we're like, okay, cool, we'll give you a price increase. And we finally closed at 230. And that's what the deal ended up being at now. And so it still meets our profit. It still is close to that 30% ROI, and it still meets our minimum profit. And that's what we ended up deciding on. Worst case scenario that we ended up evaluating was we could only sell this thing for 320. We end up going a little bit more on our rehab. Change the numbers there a bit. Or best case scenario, we still get more than what we're thinking about getting, 340. We spend less on the rehab budget, and we flip this thing pretty quickly. So that's a good thing about this calculator, is that we analyze the worst case, best case, and best case on this. So Gabriel's asking a question. Sounds like selling it as is on the market would net more than flipping it. Did you guys consider that? Yeah, we did consider that. We were actually thinking about selling the property as is to Open Door. Open Door was looking to purchase our property. And when we filed through the process, because we evaluated a bunch of exit strategies for the property, we considered wholesaling it to a flipper out there. But that when they asked for that price increase, ended up cutting off our spread to wholesaling it to someone. Then we considered doing the Open Door route. What if we wholesale it to Open Door? They're paying ridiculous prices for these properties, and they want to, let's see what Open Door says. But once we filed it with Open Door, I don't remember exactly what the numbers are, but it didn't really end up benefiting us because they said that the rehab was like $50,000, $60,000. Their fees that we have to pay for was cutting too much into our profit. They were like, you know what? We have flipped deals in Hawaii before. We have flipped deals, multiple deals in California. A regular single family residence in Las Vegas is not something to worry about. So we decided, hey, we're just going to flip this thing, rely on our network, and keep, progressing with this deal. The other question you had is, did you guys consider filing a memorandum on the property and keeping your original contract price? No, at the time, I did not know what a memorandum was, but maybe now in the future, I could, consider that, being an option and explore that. I'll be honest. I mean, I was getting bullied with the seller. These are lessons that I learned and challenges I was learning, and, these reversals, but these are things that help me, strengthen my tool belt and be more firm when I'm negotiating, and make sure I'm in control of the negotiation. Awesome. We have a question. Is it typical that flippers and wholesalers pay for closing costs when buying direct from seller? So it's not typical for wholesalers. Typically, when they get a contract, they tell you that they tell the direct to seller that the buyer, the end buyer, is going to pay for closing costs. So that's what the gimmick is, right? It's like, hey, we'll buy your property as is. You don't have to do any repairs, any maintenance. We'll cover all costs of escrows and stuff. We'll cover all closing costs. You don't got to worry about nothing besides signing a doc and receiving your check in your bank account. So that's something we did with this seller too. Is this seller was in Mexico. She can't deal with all this stuff. So I told her, hey, we'll buy your property as is. You don't have to do any repairs. All you got to do is make sure you deliver the property vacant. We'll cover the closing costs, and we'll cover everything, on our tool belt. That way you didn't have to worry about it, because the seller also didn't have any forms of communication with stuff going on in Vegas. She didn't have an email. She didn't have a phone. Really, she only had WhatsApp. And we said, okay, cool. We don't want to make this deal more of a headache than it should be. Just give us a discount and we'll take care of everything else. And we agreed on that. Typically, it is sometimes when we do direct to sellers, we prefer that the seller pay for their costs and we pay for our costs that we have to do. But wholesalers always tell the direct to seller that, hey, the buyer is going to end up covering the closing costs for you. That buyer end up being flippers at the end of the day, saying, hey, we'll actually cover the closing costs. So we incorporate that in our purchase closing costs right there. And right here, as you can see on the screen, it says purchase closing costs 2%. So 2% is us covering both the seller and us, the buyer. Normally, it's 1.2% if we're just paying for our own costs, right? You can see that a little bit more money goes back into our pockets for the deal this size. But on this one, we're like, okay, we'll cover the closing costs because we'll help you out. So we don't have to worry about it. So that's what the final numbers ended up being on on this deal right here in Vegas. And then right now, what we're seeing in the recession and stuff, we still think our numbers are really accurate because we vetted out the deal with multiple agents out there and talked to multiple people. I said, yeah, these properties are still in demand. These, single family residents that are still in demand, they're still selling, under the 400 price point. People are still swooping them up. The buyer pool is still big. What we'll experience is probably a longer days on market out there, but we'll still make sure we offload the property and get it sold to that next family that is, going to look forward to living in it. So that was one deal that we did out there in Vegas. Do you guys have any questions or any comments or something you want me to expand on before we move on to the next segment of the webinar? Awesome. All right. So what I would like to do right now is I wanted to bring on a couple of our other acquisitions guys that are kind of learning right now onto the panel right now, and kind of just let you talk to you guys about what we've been seeing and what we've been learning so far on this in this journey, real estate investing so far and what we're seeing in acquisitions. So I got Omar with me right here and Manu. Omar being one of our newer acquisitions guys. He's learning right now through these market shift, and Manu with a little bit more experience, getting really close on some deals lately. So Omar, Manu, tell us about yourself on kind of what you guys got started into for real estate investing and acquisitions.
Well, one of the biggest challenges have been pretty much our hard money lenders. So we used to have it at 1 point, now it's at 2. As many of you know, that could be detrimental, especially if we have a big team and everyone needs to get paid. It used to be at 8%, and now they're bringing it up just because of interest rates. So hard money lenders also have to get paid as well as everyone else. Pretty much we got to take care of them. And pretty much another challenge has been offers have been coming pretty close. Everyone's still buying. Not everyone's bear in this market. They're trying to seize their opportunity. Everyone has a different strategy.
Agreed. So yeah, that's a great note to bring out there, is that hard money lenders. So just like us buying properties, lenders and lending institutions have been affected as well because the interest rates, inflation. So it's becoming more expensive to borrow money. And that's something we have to calculate in our acquisitions now too, is, hey, we used to get 8% on this loan, on this deal. Now we're getting 9%. We used to get 1.5 points for the hard money lender points. Now we're getting 2 points. So we have to calculate these additional risks and these different components that are changing on the front end to begin with.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when we got to talk to agents, that becomes a strategy for us too. So
yeah, agreed. And Manu, what have you been kind of seeing? What has been your kind of biggest challenges? I know you've been kind of doing acquisitions with us for about 4 or 5 months, and me and Will have been trying to teach you along the way. You've been really close on a couple of deals. You got a couple under contract, but escrow does not seem to be on your side, or is something messy going on? What has been your biggest challenge so far in acquisitions?
Right. So far, basically, no, just the challenges right now, I think, are mostly the market shifting, and I can see the agents are more prone to give a discount, and talking to them, they're like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know about the rates, and I know the price is the price doesn't reflect what the market is saying, but the seller still wants more money. I think the sellers are still on the high of the crazy market that we had up until now. So basically they still wanna wait it out, and unless you find a seller that is in a very difficult situation and they're kind of desperate to sell, and so they can give you a big discount, I feel like sellers still want to wait, because yeah, they know about the rates, they know about this and that, but it's not that like us, they have a calculator and they put all the data in, and they're like, okay, I have to buy at this price, I have to sell at this price if I want to sell. No, they just make up a number in their mind, and that's what they want, basically.
Yeah, no, that's a valid
and of course,
point that you bring right there. Yeah, go ahead.
Just that, and of course, there are less buyers now on the market because of the rates, because of inflation, because of the upcoming recession, and also like properties stay on the market for more time. There's a little more inventory, and people also, like the buyers that are on the market, have more options and it can wait, and they know they can wait. It's not like, oh, like before, like a few months ago, 30 offers on a house like in a week and it's gone. So yeah, so that's what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, that's valid point you bring up earlier too, is that sellers, we're doing a little bit more educating these sellers now. Sellers still think that home prices are going through the roof, that everything's appreciating, that they feel like they have Disneyland in their backyard, but in reality, those aren't the prices realistically for their home, right? They still think they get top dollar for their home, and they're having a tough pill to swallow, and actually coming to acknowledgement like, hey, you missed the train. You missed the chance to sell your property at the highest value at the top dollar. Now we're shifting into more of a buyer's market, in psychology and technical, right? We're shifting more into a buyer's market. Some markets in, Southern California, we've been tracking, inventory information, inventory data. We've seen some markets out here in Southern California already kind of transition into a buyer's market, and some of them are heading towards a direction of a normal market. So that's what we're seeing, is that sellers are not being realistic, and now we have to do a little bit more educating on our side. We have a couple questions right now
100%.
from attendees. Allison said, can you give us 3 must-do tips if you are new to acquisitions? What's one tip that you would provide to her, Omar?
Well, one tip is pretty much what we go through, pretty much the 4 pillars, right? So pretty much one would be motivation. Find out the motivation of the seller. Why are they selling? Find out the condition of the house. How much rehab does the house need? The timeline, is the seller urgent on selling? Do they have, are they willing to wait 3 to 6 months on the market? Another one would be equity. How much equity does the seller have? If they have $200,000 of equity, they're probably cool with getting 150 at the end of the day. It all depends on their situation. And the last one would be pretty much what's next. What would happen next if I do offer the 150? Are we closing within the next day? Are you having other offers? Are you, all of that.
So yeah, those are some great tips right there, Allison. So yeah, whenever you're new to acquisition, it's those critical components of information that you have to collect. Motivation, you have to collect the condition of the property, price, and timeline. Once you have those 4 pieces of information, you could start analyzing the deal a little bit better, because you have more understanding of the deal and you're closer to making an offer on that property. Another side note, a tip that I would do is in due diligence. Due diligence is really important when you're into your due diligence period, because in your due diligence period, that's your responsibility and your job to uncover every single rock, every single secret, or every single little thing about the property that's going on before you commit to buying it as well. Is there a last tip that you could provide, Manu?
Yeah, for sure. Of course, like I concur with what you guys said. Like the more info you have about the property, about the seller, about the area, about the market, the more advantages like you can have, and you can dial in like your numbers for sure. But for like me personally, I would say get those reps in, talk to the agents, work like long hours, like stay on the MLS, like talk to agents a lot, because like you're gonna get lots of information about the market, about the property you want to buy. You get better at it every day. Like, so put the reps in and educate yourself by talking to people, going to the meetups, and read those books, listen to those podcasts. And the more you know, the better you can, navigate this like treacherous waters we're getting in. Basically.
Yeah, I really like that, Amanu. Obviously educate yourself, make sure you're sharpening your tool belt, doing the repetition, being consistent, and most importantly, taking action. Because the more questions you ask, the more information that you'll end up finding out, and you'll be better equipped as you progress with your journey, real estate investing. Another question I kind of had for you guys right now, I know you guys been in acquisitions for a little bit of time. What has been some biggest lessons that you guys have seen on going about deals or getting deals?
For sure, like I got very, very close to a couple of deals, and I couldn't have done that without the help of our team. Like that is crucial. Like the people like you work with and you surround yourself, they have to be like they have to add value to yourself and to your work and not be a liability. And of course, you don't have to be a liability to them, but you know, they can really help you get to the finish line. And I feel like in especially working with Alex, Will, Eliam, and everybody else, like I got so much help, and that like really helped me get to that last step, even if in the end you know, didn't work out. And the other one is that exactly, like it doesn't matter how close you are to the deal being closed, even the last day, like funding day, something can happen and the deal can fall apart. So, you know, don't spend all the money you don't have. Don't go buy that car if the deal is not really close. But yeah, those are like two of the big lessons that I learned.
Exactly. No, I agree with that a lot. Don't count all your ducks in a row until that deal is closed and recorded. Unless you got that message that the wire has been sent, everything's closed and recorded, then you celebrate. Definitely had some experiences where I had some deals go into, you know, escrow, something's going on with the funding, or maybe the properties has some tricky wires, not clear title. And I'm already counting my ducks in a row and seeing how much, you know, we can make on this property, already excited. But in reality, the deal's not done until everything's closed and recorded and the wire is sent. So that's a really good thing to note as well for anyone starting new in acquisitions, is you're going to go through these obstacles, you're going to go through these challenges, but it's all part of the game because it helps you learn a lot better. And Omar, what has been one biggest lesson that you have learned working in acquisition so far, working with us, or anything you'd like to share?
One of the biggest lessons has been pretty much asking those agents, you know, being on those, like Manu said, just keep calling agents. And as you get better, you know, your questions will get better, you know, try to extract as much data from the agents, have them tell you everything about the homes. You know, you'll talk to some agents who are more talkative than others, and then you'll talk to other agents who are more seasoned, you know, so talking to the seasoned agents will only get you better because they're not going to tell you everything up front. They rather let you go see the house. And, you know, unless that house is pretty much within your criteria of numbers, you know, that's the only way you want to go. You don't want to go waste your time. You don't want to go waste anyone else's time, you know, so pretty much key questions.
Key questions. No, I agree with that. Time is of the essence. You got to make sure you protect your time. One thing we do to make sure is like, Sean Shaw said, what areas do you prefer in Antelope Valley? Well, we actually like buying anywhere in the Antelope Valley: Lancaster, Palmdale, Lake LA, Rosamond, all the way far up to California City, Mojave. The Antelope Valley has been a great opportunity for us to invest in. And in terms of time, we live really far from Antelope Valley. Some of us live in Santa Monica, some live in Orange County. And Antelope Valley it's a pretty good trip to make out there in terms of time and drive. So we make sure that we have a bunch of appointments out there, and we ask key questions that make sure it's worth our time to drive all the way out there, to drive the 2 hours to go see this property, because we ask these key questions in advance. We ask these defining questions that qualify this lead. Hey, this lead is worth my time to go look at because we have an opportunity and a high probability of closing on this deal. So that's really important that you bring up. And, you know, thank you, Omar, for sharing. So kind of just closing remarks here before we invite some panelists onto the Zoom is our strategy moving forward. So our strategy moving forward is that, hey, we're still buying deals. We're buying deals a lot more conservatively. Our offers are way more lower than they used to be. Deals that were deals 6 months ago, that looked like deals 6 months ago, are probably not deals now. We need probably a lower discount. We're doing a lot of educating in the sense of, hey, we have to thoroughly discuss interest rates to these agents, to these sellers. We have to let them know about inflation. Just like inflation affected you going to the grocery store, inflation affected us when we're rehabbing our properties and paying our contractors. Rehabs that used to be $30,000 are now maybe $40,000 just because of inflation. So we have to do a better job communicating that and become educators and let these sellers and agents and wholesalers know, like, hey, we're not trying to lowball you, but these are the factors that are going on. Interest rates, inflation, and things other in bandwidth, right? So we're doing a lot better job and stuff like that. We're calculating these risks on the front end to make sure if things were to crash or if things were to not go our way, we could still make some profit in it because we bought the deal at a great enough discount that would be able to cover ourselves in terms of the worst case scenario. That's what we have the calculator saying: the worst case, base case, and the best case. So yeah, I think we could go on and start, inviting some panelists. You see any questions or any comments that you guys have, love to connect with you guys as well. We also have a Facebook group there as well. It's called, Mike, you could drop out the link right there. We have a Facebook group where you can find our resources, our deal calculators. Whenever we have upcoming events going on, like the next DTLA meetup that we'll throw, we'll have all these different things going on there. And if you join our Facebook group, you'll have exclusive access to seeing when are we doing these type of things and these resources, and open up the community and help you out.
Okay, very quickly, the bond yields have been dropping in the marketplace, and today they were about 2.60. We hit a high in June 16th, where that was 3.48. So it's an 80 basis point drop that we have seen. That is bringing the interest rate, 30-year fix and 15-year fix, towards the prices we had in April 6th. So let's go back to April 6th, what the market was, and that is exactly what the market is now. So the interest rates are dropping. That is some very good news for the buyers and the real estate market. It's not something we can just ignore. I'm focused on those rates and all those things. So there is some good news, and that's about I can tell you.
Okay, yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing this information with us. There we go. We got Will Walls and Alex Camacho on the Real Estate Disruptors podcast right there in the background, joining on us last 2 minutes.
What's
of the
up,
webinar.
you guys? What up, my
Yo,
deal
how'd it
makers?
go?
Man, we had a great interview out here with Steve Trang. As you guys know, he's one of our sales coaches, so just absolutely legendary to be out here with him on the podcast. I know Alex absolutely enjoyed it as well. And we hope you guys had an incredible time with our guys, Eliam and Omar, looking over some deals.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We made sure we could help anyone out here to answer any questions to the best of our ability and make sure we continue providing value to our community. And, everyone here is seeking growth and seeking to, financial freedom through real estate investing. And we're all here to rely on each other in our network. Really reach out to your network. We're here to support each other, and we're here to help each other grow.
Love it, bro. Couldn't have said it better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Where's Mr. Steve Trang at, huh? Is that gonna make a special appearance?
Steve just had to run, but we did do the webinar with Steve a couple weeks back. So make sure you guys go check it out, and make sure you guys check out the recording of the Disruptors podcast with me, Alex, and Steve on there today.
Let's go, my deal
Awesome.
makers.
Let's go. So yeah, let's wrap this thing up. We're looking forward to seeing you guys at the next webinar. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on the Facebook group or via Instagram as well. You guys have a nice one. Let's go.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.